Rochelle stood on the bridge of the Into Harm's Way and stared out into the darkness of the stars through vidscreens. It was time for the worst part of combat. Waiting. She stood stock still and tried to keep an air of disinterested certainty on her face. If she let it slip, then her crew would take cue and begin to worry as well. And worry causes mistakes. "Ma'am, the shuttle is reporting no issues docking with the station. No reactions from the station and no sign of debris. Next mission is to come in 4 minutes. Communication lag is 3 seconds," her communications officer reported. "Confirmed. Reach out to the long way home and have her deploy our interceptors in a helical aerospace patrol. We will keep our interceptors as close QRF," Captain Rochelle ordered, watching the deep of space with trained eyes. A flick gesture brought up a tactical map for the potential battle space. Their partner patrol carrier's interceptors beginning to swirl around the fleet as her own ships hung close. Runoff 3 and her boarding shuttle began operations. Rochelle watched as a refueling drone drifted out of position with narrowed eyes. She glanced at the sensor-reported asteroid in the pirate point of the system. She looked at the flickering readouts off the opposite side of the planet. There. There was a flash of something. A sensor ghost. She looked again. The refueling drone had drifted perpendicular to the station. The asteroid and the pirate points drifted in a lazy orbit towards the fleet. The sensor ghost flicked again. One of the merchant ships in Rochelle's fleet began to roll, showing the long way home her broadside. Rochelle acted fast. "So, what does the old lady want us to do now?" Captain Lol Ula Ula asked, standing at her bridge and idly chewing on a ration bar. The Helcom genuinely had no idea how someone like Captain Rochelle could stand at attention for entire shifts without eating, drinking, or even taking a break. Insane, that's what it was. "Still on standby. Do you think she's been a bit paranoid? This isn't the periphery. The station just has a busted transmitter. Send a crew of engineers over, 2-day job, bing bam boom, everything's fixed." Her watchkeeper, another Helcom by the name of Hoopo Hoon, bitched. "Watch your tongue," Ula Ula replied sharply. "I served under her, she knows what she's doing. Maybe she just sees something we're not. Have our interceptors reported anything?" Watchkeeper Hoon shook her head. "Nothing but the occasional sensor ghost from the star. They investigated but didn't find anything." "Ma'ams," the sensor tech called out. "IMV Bloodright Glory is rolling out of position." Ula Ula groaned. "Oh, that lady is going to be the death of me. First the frequent stops, then the spa wait time, and now this. Send a message to her demanding she return to her place. We don't know if the area is safe, and anyone out of position could endanger the entire fleet." "Yes, ma'am," the sensor tech replied with a salute, before nodding to the communication officer next to her. "Message has been prepared. Belay that. Incoming from Captain Rochelle," she reported. There was a pause. "Oh, spirits! General Quarter—" She never had the time to finish the call to alarm, before the Bloodright Glory's illegal laser battery punched a hole clean through the patrol vessel's open flight hangars, the 1 in a trillion shot finding its way to punch into the ship's magazines. Anti-shipping missiles, bombs of every flavour, and high-explosive missiles detonated in a brilliant blast, ripping the poor ship in half. Over 300 crew died in the time it took to finish the sentence. Milk's jaw dropped as their companion ship detonated into 1,000 pieces, the near second of light delay letting them know there was nothing they could do. "Shit! Cookie!" Milk began. "I saw," Cookie replied. "Shuttle, be warned. We are engaged with an unknown enemy." Private Snoofy stacked up at the secondary airlock, leading into the crew's mess quarters. The sheer silence of the station was beginning to rub her raw. An absence of circulation, not even a low thrum of a reactor, cut the dead silence. "Lights are still off. Redundant power is still flowing. Breaching in 5, her poor leader said, before tapping her in the shoulder. "On you, Private." Snoofy took a deep breath and nodded, listening to the steady count from behind her as the door swept open and she burst into the room. Her carbine scanned low, scanned high. Nothing moved and Private Snoofy almost threw up inside her helmet. The entire room was full of corpses, tongues sticking out and swollen, slumped over where they sat for food, their skin a sickly violet. She looked down and saw a corpse that had fallen trying to reach the door. Snoopy barely remembered the fact the station's oxygen was safe to breathe as she ripped her helmet off and threw up the ration bar she ate before entering the shuttle. And that was when grenades flew out of the sealed and silent vents. There are times in history when entire battles and even entire wars not yet fought hinge on single actions, single people. But when those actions occur and those people are put in place, do they know what they do? Did the Archduke's assassin know he would begin two of the greatest wars ever fought in Terran soil? Did the scientist ripping apart the Shield genome in an attempt to fix their birth rate realize she would doom uncounted thousands? Did the Alliance senator who stood up and declared the need for a strong, unified alliance in response to Imperial aggression realize she had just formed the third superpower? Does anyone truly realize what they do when, in the heat of the moment, they act? Milk and Cookie watched as the refueling drone shed its outer hull, panels built to keep pressurized, refined hydrogen in, and micrometeorize out, falling away to reveal aerospace fighters of every kind: Alliance, Imperium, Consortium, retrofitted shuttles, obsolete fightercraft, last-gen interceptors, pirate specials, every kind and brand of machine built to rule the skies. As the panels drifted away, propelled by explosive bolts, they all woke up. Her wings began to cut the void. There is only one possible response to such overwhelming forces. Runoff 3 to Sod Actual. Tally-ho on large group of bandit fast movers inbound, Cookie reported, while Milk began counting them up. WSO reports at least 20. That is 20 bandits. There was a pause before Salt replied, and the stone in Cookie's gut fell. Sod Actual to Runoff 3. We are unable to assist. We are taking fire from inside the station and Assault 1-1 is reporting an MCI from inside the station. No support? Nothing. Shit. General Quarters! General Quarters! All hands attend to station. The route of travel is forward and up to starboard. Down and aft to port. Set material condition to Zentak throughout the vessel. Ambush! 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 The ancient clarion call of war echoed throughout the IPV into harm's way as Rochelle barked out orders. The long way home was scrap floating in the void. The Bloodright Glory had been disabled by another merchant ship, hiding military-spec weaponry, and a pair of pirate frigates had appeared from the dark side of moons and moved to engage. But the worst news was not that. No. The worst news was that a familiar IFF appeared on Captain Rochelle's fleet radar. A ship she once thought destroyed in her years commanding an Imperial expeditionary fleet stared at her from across the stars, once more taunting her with its life. The pirate cruiser, Moor of Kings, and its captain, Gravel Kagapan, the rapist king of Sector 23, had come to take his pound of flesh. And here she stood, commander of a single military ship, 7 interceptors, and a bare handful of merchant women who might have a gun hidden up their skirts. Well, she thought, I've been in worse positions, but it's hard to remember exactly when. The ambush was near perfect. A traitor in the ranks implied more than one. In the privacy of her mind, Rochelle ran down her resources and wondered if this might be where she met her end. A captain, escorting a convoy in some corner of the galaxy, killed by a handful of pirates. And then, with practiced ease and iron will, she crushed that thought underneath her heel, not letting a single speck of emotion show on her face. Her crew needed that rock, that sense of unwavering strength. If she let it slip, the battle might as well be over already. Now everyone had reacted. Some were gasping, others were beginning to pray. General Quarters sounded, and so they were doing their jobs, but this needed focus, not just instinct. Rochelle took a deep breath in. She pressed the button, opening her communications up to the convoy. This is Captain Rochelle. All survivors are now under my command. Merchant ships, clump and begin suppressive fire against enemy designated frigate 2. They will not destroy you. You carry 2 valuable goods. Prepare for counterboarding. The tone of her voice was smooth, steady, not fatherly, but comforting in the way a solid pistol grip resting in your hand was. There was violence here, but there was violence on your side. She then turned to her bridge crew. We are faced with long odds. We are the Imperial Patrol. We have slain further gambles. a quick speech to rally the people's spirits. Aim for the cruiser and suppress Frigate 1 with our point defense. Send orders to our interceptors that they are to harass the frigates and ensure we retain aerospace superiority. Ma'am, one of her deck crew spoke. Shouldn't we move to retreat? There were times Rochelle both accepted and regretted the fact she allowed her sailors to question her. The simple act of asking to flee was dangerous to morale. But it was more important she got reminded that she is fallible. Still, something must be done about this, and the old lady of the Imperial Navy had a response long prepared. The enemy is here and insists on giving battle, Rochelle spoke, allowing her voice to echo through the bridge and over the intercom. And for this impudence, we shall kill them. Attend to your stations. And that was all that needed to be said. Captain Gravel Yellowteeth Cadcapan grinned as he watched his girls dive into the convoy. With the first pathetic battle carrier dead, the second would be easy prey for his frigates and cruiser. And if it wasn't, well, his contact in the fleet would see it destroyed. It was almost a pleasure to listen to the fearful chatter of the merchant ships scream out in panic and fear as he pounced. He should record this and add it to his collection. Something to listen to while breaking in another cabin boy. The last one got worn out and he threw him to the girls for morale. The elated grin froze and fell as a familiar voice came over the radio. Rochelle, he grinned. Oh, that little bitch. I thought they put you up against the wall when they removed you from command. Well, I'll just have to do that myself. Hey, second bitch, the Pirate King roared. One of his wives looked up. These women were the ones who were loyal enough, stupid enough, and pliable enough, while also not being incompetent fuck-ups he could trust to run things without getting ideas. Seeing as he got this ship by slitting the previous captain's throat as she laughed and mocked him, saying the true crowns had it right and men are only good for breeding, Yellowteeth decided to be a bit careful. Yes, my love, the sappy sweet cunt replied. Sometimes it was fun to hear her beg and moan and plead and say she loved him, while he fucked his other wives in front of her. Always fun. Do we still have those judge robes we stole from the magistrate? I'm thinking of arranging a little hanging court for our dear Captain Rochelle once we take that ship. I think we do, my beloved husband, Second replied. Good. He hammered down the broadcast button to his other ships. All right, you cunts, bit extra order. You see that last patrol carrier? You go to disable it. You so much as scratch the bridge with your weapons, and I'll kill-haul you with half a tank of oxygen. Don't worry, Teeth. We'll make sure your prize is all nice and bundled up for you, Captain Barashi replied. Her frigate was a pirate special named the Bloodright Truth, a former interdiction frigate turned into a missile boat, and she came highly recommended by the patron. Sure, made things harder for us. You know how much of a pain in the ass it is to disable one of these things without breaking it? Captain Tasafi asked. She piloted the Even Wager, a frigate that was mostly still in its designated role. She was the only person allowed to talk back to her, since she was the one in charge of paychecks. Never cross the woman who cut your pay. Don't worry, ladies. You do this right and I'll give you a larger slice of reeks once you rip these convoy ships open and drink their blood. All vessels, engage.